What is going on? What is going on? What is going on, party people? It is your boy, Coach D Brown, former big leaguer, former first round pick with the Kansas City Royals. And man, we are joined today, man. Listen, this is going to be a special show, man. And I met this family, I want to say, Hylan was in 10th grade. He was sophomore in college now. So about 4 or 5 years ago. And through a mutual friend, and I met the young gentleman on the phone and the parents, and we had a great conversation. He had just recently, at that time, committed to University of Florida, and he was just telling me about his journey, what's going on, and from there, he decommitted from Florida and ended up signing and playing with, signing with Miami. Later on, I found out, and he was a guest on the show last year. Tore it down. Talked about the regiment, the strict, the work ethic is on point. Everything was just very. I mean, from a athlete to athlete standpoint, I was very impressed with this young man from day one. His parents are both, saying influential in his life. His dad played at, my dream school, who didn't want nothing to do with me at Florida State. But so he gets the genes, from he gets it honestly, man, and he got the work ethic behind it, man. So, but I just thought it was cool because we talked about it yesterday about how everybody kind of got unique stories when it comes to this recruiting process and stuff like that. So some are very good, some are interesting, others got to go through the growing pains and stuff like that. So I just remember a conversation I had with Myla, and you're going to be both of them right now. I remember a couple years ago we talked about it, and she just put it bluntly, was like, yo, at that time he had just signed at University of Miami. He was about to leave, and I think it was right before he was graduating, right after the interview. And she was like, whew, it's very exhausting. All right. She said it was more of a, not a happy, it was more of a like, whew, I'm glad, I'm saying, this part is over. And that just stuck with me, And so anyway, they're going to go into, their story right now. So I want to introduce Chris and Myla Hall, who their son, Hylan Hall, is a highly touted prospect. Will get drafted in the next year or two. He's out in Wabash Junior College, started out Miami, big time outfielder, man. So how you guys? I know it was a long interview, man. Long intro, man. My bad. But how you guys doing today, man?
We're great. We're great. We're good. Thanks for having us on.
No doubt. I'm glad to have you guys, man. So if you guys could kind of give me a little quick background on you guys, what I'm saying, as far as, sports, I kind of spilled the beans on Dad a little bit, but, you kind of tell, you guys where you guys from, tell a little bit about Hylan and how he started with the whole baseball thing. If you guys can kind of get into that, I appreciate it.
Oh, gee, you want to start from Little League?
I didn't say Little League. I just kind of, where you guys are from. A little bit about, what I'm saying, your playing at, sports and stuff, and maybe get into how you got it, Hylan, into you football guys. I wanted to maybe bridge that gap of how you got, Hylan into playing baseball.
Okay, you go.
Okay, I'm Myla Hall, and I'm actually from Lakeland, Florida. My husband, Chris, is from Cocoa, Florida. And that's where we're from. I went to Bethune-Cookman University and University of Central Florida. And Chris went to Florida State and played football.
Your dream school.
And I was a musician. I was in the band at Bethune-Cookman University. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Chris, tell me about your, playing at my dream school. Didn't want nothing to do with me, you know what I mean? And because you was in the heyday, he was there when I was like, yo, really trying to get in, you know what I'm saying? When it was big time, man. So tell a little bit about your background.
Actually, I had originally signed to play for Notre Dame. It just turned out that it was more my mom's decision for me to play, and then mine. Once I got to think about it, I kind of wanted to back out, so they gracefully gave me a chance to back out, at which time I went to Florida State instead, which worked out pretty good. Like I say, I can't complain about anything. Getting into Hylan, well, we knew.
How did you get into baseball? How did you get into baseball? You being a football guy.
Well, growing up, I've always played some kind of sport, and I figured with him when we had our children, we thought it'd be wise for them to have something to do, not pushing them in any way to be one sport or the other. Just wanted them to get active and just outside of school. It just turned out that when Hylan started playing, you can see that he had some kind of talent. Okay. He started playing baseball at the age of 5. I mean, just fun. By the age of 7, he was pitching against 9 and 10-year-olds because Hylan was basically known as a pitcher first. Okay. And then by the time, I end up running the baseball league, because we get involved in everything that he did. I actually left that league, and by the time he was 9, we went to another area and let him play baseball. Well, 9-year-old playing on that league, he, his first game, he threw a complete no-hitter, didn't walk a single batter, and hit a home run. People started complaining. That was our first. People complaining, saying he should not be playing with these kids. Now take it. He's the youngest in the league at that division, but they started complaining, saying he should be playing with the 12-year-olds. Okay, and so that was his first, introduction to baseball, where people are complaining about him, not because he did something wrong, it's because he shouldn't be playing with them because I guess they thought his skill set was too good. At that point, then all of a sudden we start seeing the travel ball coaches start rolling up, watching him play. Okay, I wasn't going to let him play travel ball till he was around 12, at least, just to let him have fun. But got to a point where it wasn't fun, because if a kid hit a ground ball and was out, the whole crowd cheered. And Hylan didn't have a clue what was going on. He said, "Wait a minute, we got him out." So I had to explain to him at that very young age that they're looking at you as some kind of standard bearer, that if they can hit you, then that's all they even care about. Not even care about winning the game, just actually competing and being able to touch the ball. Well, after that year, we just left and we decided to go play travel ball. Well, travel ball started then. Well, what we found out was travel ball, they wanted him to pitch too. So basically what Hylan ended up doing is, if there was, he pitched every championship game. They wanted him to pitch anytime somebody got in trouble. It could be bases loaded, no outs. This could win the game. They put him on the mound.
Bases loaded, 2 outs.
And somehow he always came through. He won a lot of big games. But by the time he was able to get to high school, I decided, before he was going into high school, I decided he needed a break. So I told him to take a year off. We didn't do any baseball. I let him play basketball. Wow. First of all, and then I had to decide what school he was going to go to. Okay, we went to a couple of schools, and we kind of settled on Ocoee High School. They didn't have a strength program, so I offered to volunteer to help with a strength program. I didn't know that would turn into me being assistant coach, because I wanted to watch him in high school. Plus, he also played football. He ended up being the backup. They brought him up to varsity his freshman year. But, I saw what he had in baseball. Okay, so I told him after his freshman year, if he gave me a year to get him bigger, stronger, he wouldn't be disappointed in what was going to come at him in baseball. He did. He allowed me to do it. So coming into his freshman summer, we allowed him to do the breakthrough series. Okay, he was 14, and he went there. He pitched. They had him at 88 as a freshman, and so that worked out pretty good. And I put him back away, because the coach at that time is Bobby Brewer, very good friend of mine. Okay. Matter of fact, we coach at Apopka High School right now. He got me over there with him. Okay. He told me a wise thing. He said, "Hey, Chris, let's let him relax and learn how to play baseball before we put him out there on that circuit." I said, because when it's time for him to go on that circuit, he'll be ready, and I'll let you know. Well, that summer he worked out. It turned out that, like, we did our own little test. We have like a college, workout test, 60, all that type of stuff. Well, it turned out at 14, He was running the 6'7". Everybody else on the team the closest was 6'9". Then all of a sudden, I think Florida ended up hearing about it. And then they said, hey, could you bring him up here? We'd like to take a look at him at the camp. Fine. I said, okay, it's not going to, no big deal. I'll bring him up there. So me and Coach Brewer took him up there to the camp. Well, it turned out he did extremely well. Home runs. I think he ran in like a 6'7" at that time too. He just dazzled them, and they really at that point they was like, we don't want him to leave. My wife wasn't there, so they asked us to come back. So we went through the process. They gave us a good offer. So, his sophomore year, he was already committed to Florida. That now comes the problems. Every time he took a step to the left or took a step to the right, if he didn't look this way, didn't look that way, word got back to Florida that, hey, Hylan, no, he didn't. Hylan did this. Hylan wasn't, Hylan. So it got to a point where it was getting he was under a microscope and he couldn't just play baseball. His sophomore year, we played this team called West Orange. They had pro prospects. They had D1 commits. It was one of the top schools in the Central Florida area at that time. Well, Hylan got on the mound that time, and Hylan was shoving it for 5 innings on him. Thing is, the team was, before that, what ended up happening was we got there and was getting ready to warm up. We couldn't even barely warm up because the head coach over there, he had a travel ball team. Okay, and he spent the whole time warming up trying to get me and trying to get Hylan to play for his travel ball team. And I'm like, we're not here for that. We're here to play a game. So it was kind of messed up at the beginning of that game, but we ended up playing. Hylan was having a great game. Like I say, for 5 innings, he was putting it on him. Yes. Okay. But as he's pitching, as they walk by him, the team, they're calling him the N-word. They're trying to rile him.
He was an outfielder.
And when he was in stuff like that. So he got his first taste of that, but the umpire wouldn't do anything about it. And we kept complaining. And what we've learned from that instance was that, hey, Hylan, you got to just continue to play ball and let that go. And so that was a learning experience from him. But we ended up losing that game. He got off the mound in the 5th inning, and then they scored a couple runs. We lost 2-1. But he had a great game. He threw well. He did everything he was supposed to do, and it was pretty good. But, at the end of the game, we get another thing from Florida saying, hey, we got a guy watching. The way you carried yourself a little bit was a little off. So it was to a point. It was to a point where
now this is after Chris. This is after that game where he's getting thrown racial slurs at him, and then Florida is like, hey, we don't like the way you're conducting yourself.
Right, because he was up. He felt some kind of way upset because nobody was doing anything about it.
Rightfully so.
Right. So again, we're talking about his sophomore year. He's going against actually seniors there's pro prospects, got major colleges and everything. And here he is, almost leading his team. He could have pitched 7 innings. He'd probably led his team to a championship because he also had a couple of doubles in that game too, off of their best pitcher. But again, we end up losing that game. And then the same thing, we end up having that situation. So this is going on his old sophomore year. If he stepped to the left, we're getting this, we're getting that. And then all of a sudden people started realizing that this kid's pretty darn good. So now at the school, kids are kind of, a little jealous and so he started getting into some kind of, little trouble with kids wanting to fight him and stuff. So we decided we're just going to pull him out and we're going to homeschool him. Okay. At that point, we wasn't getting too much cooperation on how they was going to keep him safe at the school. So we decided we had to leave. And at that point, we tried to figure out how he was going to do it baseball wise. What was he going to do for baseball? He could play at the school, but we just wanted to look at some other options. And by what we saw, we ended up picking an academy for him to go play at. Okay. Now, hindsight's 2020. some academies are great. It was great for him his first year there. He brought a lot of prestige to that academy, brought pros out there. But again, same thing starts happening. People started getting jealous because he was so much better. And they started getting to the point where they started plotting against him. I guess you can say that. So it got to a point where he ended up getting into it with one of the kids because they just was constantly bothering him, and he would beg people, hey, could you tell this kid to stop cussing me out? Could you do this? And, you know, he thought he had a great relationship with the guy that was running the program. Guy basically explained to him, hey, once you pop him 1 or 2 times, he'll stop. Well, Hylan actually popped him, and guess what? It started more problems. And I told him as a father, you can't do that. You have to just leave it alone. Hindsight 2020, when this stuff started, I should have took him out. But I didn't. I let him go through it. Mm-hmm. You know, and like I say, by that time we had decommitted from Florida because we just wasn't feeling right. It was just something. And, you know, he ended up committing to Florida.
His coach.
To Miami.
And his coach.
The coach at that time kind of pushed him towards Miami.
Yes.
Okay. Well, the team wasn't doing too good at the beginning of the season. Well,
this is his senior year.
This is his senior year. It wasn't doing too good. You know, but Hylan was still doing what he was supposed to do. Well, you know, it got to a point where the gentleman decided that I'm going to ruin your life. I'm going to ruin it. And he began to start trying to tell scouts that I wouldn't draft this guy. This guy is not. He's not cancer. But again, a week before, he was the best thing since sliced bread. So
what made you think he changed like that? What do you?
I don't know. What Hylan did. I don't have a clue. But you know, at that point, when it got to that point, because let's go back a minute. Well, Hylan went to Jupiter that year. He didn't have a good Jupiter. That was probably his worst tournament ever. He didn't have a good Jupiter. So, you know, and the coach was there. He saw it. I can see it in his eyes that the coach was kind of like, I think it was almost to a point where the coach started to believe that he was responsible for what the kid was doing instead of understanding that this kid is doing it. That he had the belief that the kid was doing it because of him. Right. I tell Hylan all the time, what you got? I ain't got nothing to do with me. I ain't the one out there throwing, catching, and running. I mean, I try to help you, but you're the one that's getting all the stuff. And I think we lost sight of that. Okay, you got to understand, when at this travel ball, the kid was a perfect game All-American. He made it to the trials team and made it to the final, the USA trials team, and almost got picked there. He went to the East Coast pro
workouts.
He did all the pro. He did all of this stuff. Okay, so he was on track to be, they say to be a high level prospect and possibly get drafted, you know, up in that route. Even with all that stuff going on, I eventually took him out of the academy that he was at and brought him back to high school. I mean, he was still sitting pretty good. There were still teams that was ready to look at him. They were still going to give him a shot, even with the little baggage that came with what was being said about him. He went back to high school. I put him back into high school. I homeschooled him and let him play. He took off. He was banging balls all over the place. Led the high school to, I think, his second district championship ever at the school. Okay. Unfortunately, 2 weeks before the draft, he made a crazy move trying to get by a catcher and just tore his knee up, shattered the whole knee, ACL, MCL, and patella. The craziness about it is he still played on it until to the first game of the district. I mean, still hitting home runs, still doing all that stuff. Yeah. I don't know how he did it. He did not want to stop. And I said, dude, you need to stop. Didn't want to stop. So he still led the team from that point, and to a point where he did something, and it was just, we know it was done.
Right.
So we kind of figured he was not going to get drafted because of the knee. We contacted Miami and said, "Hey, Hylan tore his knee up." They said, "Come down here. We'd like to have the surgery down here." So we went down to the Miami hospital, to Miami, and had the surgery at Miami Hospital. It was successful. No issues. Came back, and then, like I say, draft came. Of course, he didn't get drafted. We got a call while he was in Miami this summer saying, "Hey, if you still want, we got a couple of $100,000 for you if you want to come." We said, "No, we're just gonna, see what happens here." Well, I was trying to explain to Hylan about college. I was like, "Hey, college is very regiment and it's very strict." I said, if you're hurt, it's either you times that times two. And I don't think he kind of understood that. Think about it. This is an 18-year-old kid that was supposed to be drafted, that tore his knee up, that said, "Okay, well, I'm going to go to college. Now I'm at Miami." Well, goes to Miami. He's on crutches. And his day was ridiculous. He's 6 a.m., get up, treatment, class, treatment, class, treatment, study hall. So he was up from 6 to maybe 10 o'clock at night, almost every day during the week. And you're talking about an 18-year-old kid that's never had to do anything like that before. So he might be late to something of that, but remember now he's still on crutches. So at that, and he didn't have somebody giving him anything to get there. Didn't have a car. Didn't have none of that stuff. So he had to hump it. So he was struggling. So he was hungry. Sometimes he missed practice, missed food. It was tough for him, and I was trying to encourage him through it. Biggest thing is I didn't even realize that once after the summer, once he got into the fall, I didn't realize that 3 months out of surgery, he was practicing. I'm talking about full practicing, diving, running, and I'm going, this is a surgery that he should not be ready to go for at least to 9 months.
At least.
Prior to that.
So, he's there, he's doing everything. He's calling me, said, "Dad, yeah, I'm racing. I think I might be the second or third fastest on the team right now, 3 months out of surgery." Okay. And I'm going, wow, wasn't feeling comfortable about it, thinking he could get hurt. And then at some point,
did you feel like they were rushing him? And did you feel like
I thought he was being rushed because the amount of money that he was getting, I believe that it was they was not trying to let him.
Did they ever consider talking to you guys about redshirting or anything like that?
No, they wanted him on the field. I talked about redshirt. He said he's not, the coach said he's not trying to redshirt anybody. He wanted him on that field. And I just don't think that Hylan was going to be ready to be on that field by that time. Along with other little stuff. Hylan was, he's 18 years old at a party school. He's doing what everybody else doing. He's off his crutches and he's trying to enjoy himself too at some point. Well, it didn't really work out for him. And he ended up getting no eye opener. He ended up getting cut. Coach called him in, said, "Hey, it's not going to work out."
Do you think it was one thing? Do you think it's a series of things?
It was some things. Hylan being late to a couple of things. I think not being able to really prepare himself, because he was out there practicing with these guys. You got to think about it. They throw him a fastball. Oh, he banged it, but he with the knee, he didn't have enough to really be able to catch the curve. So he started striking out. Remember now, he 3 months, maybe 4 months now out of surgery, and he's out there going live with pitching.
Right.
So he just wasn't able to do what he would normally be able to do. But he was still being graded as though he was not hurt. So again, didn't work out. Nothing. I ain't saying nothing about the school. It's just how it is. He learned that it's a business. Okay. Well, they decided they didn't want it no more. So we say, okay, we're gonna go through this process. Okay, we're gonna go through the transfer portal and see if see where he can go. We found a lot of things out about the transfer portal, and it is not designed to help you. It's designed, to basically stop you from from going somewhere else and playing immediately. What we found out was by him being cut, okay, there's no box to be filled out to say he was cut from the team.
Right, that wasn't listed as an option.
Because if it was an option, then that would mean that the school has said that they didn't want him, which gives him the right to go to any school and play immediately.
And play it right away, right?
You have to hit that drop-down box, and then you have to write in the comment. Once we did that, there was no you got to sit out, and none of that stuff. You can go wherever you want. Well, got to understand. Now, the next problem is, okay, you go start talking to teams and they say, oh, yes, we want you. Well, you know what they're going to do immediately? They're going to contact the school that you left from. Now, depending on what they say, that's going to be a problem. Okay. And it's just, well, remember, this kid has never flunked the drug test. This kid left Miami with a 2.8 GPA. Okay. Of course, these are things that I've heard that Hylan didn't have. Don't have any children. Okay. Never been in trouble with the law. So none of this stuff.
So these things were being said though.
These things are things that we've heard, from at different points. And I'm just trying to figure out, where it comes from. Well, he tries to go to a certain school. They contacted the coach, and then we hear Hylan's flunking out of college. Of course, at that point we got an issue. So now we're looking and calling the school. That's when we find out, no, he's not flunking. I sent the information to that school saying he's got a 2.8 GPA. I don't understand what that means. Well, we're just not going to touch him. So basically, he was in that situation where they say, oh, not going to touch it. So we decided, okay, let's see what else is out here. We decided, let's look at some of the junior colleges because major schools, we're going to talk to Miami, and there's nothing we can do about that. That's fine. I guess Miami didn't want him to play in any school that is possible that they were going to play. I'm okay
come back and bust their butt. Yeah.
Right. Now, with all that being said, there was people at several schools that we know caught with cocaine, fighting on campus, and they're not getting the same treatment that Hylan's getting. I don't know why. I'm not going to make assumptions, but that's kind of where we were. We end up seeing one of the best JUCOs in the country, if not the best, which was Wabash. And we also had Arizona. Yeah. It was a Central Arizona, which is two of the very best JUCOs in the country.
Been a guest on the show.
So Hylan chose Wabash. Okay. Went there. It was 8 months. 8 months out of surgery. This is right before Corona took off. I mean, just all over the place. I mean, schools that wanted him, other JUCOs that wouldn't look at him, we end up playing them. Home runs back. He did his thing. And then we end up getting the Corona. And that was the end of that season. But he finished that season over about 350, 340 with about 3-4 home runs after 17 games. And it was on his way to do pretty good. Well, let's think about it. I actually like JUCO because, like I said, you can get drafted every year, which is I don't think a lot of people quite understand that. I think a lot of parents think that I need to go to this D1 school. Well, you can always go back to the D1 school after 2 years. Okay. And I don't think these parents know that. If your kid is a high level prospect that could possibly be drafted and you say, I'm not taking this money, your best bet would probably be to go JUCO, because if he have a great season, you never know. You can get drafted every year. So you can draft his freshman year, sophomore year, and then if you don't like it, you can go back to the D1 his junior year and play there. So, we decided that was probably a better option for him. Okay. So he went there, he did that, had a great year. Coach loved him. Next year comes up. Okay. Well, let me get, again, they said his body of work with the baggage that was coming with his name, it wasn't enough for him to get drafted, at a level that he was going to accept. So,
and it only being 5 rounds too, right?
Right. And it was only going to be 5 rounds. So we let that draft go again. So here we go. He's at Wabash this year. Now think about it now. He is doing pretty good there. He actually helped recruit a lot of the players that are there. And I don't think these parents going to have to understand that with this Corona thing going on, these schools are flush with ball players. And actually this spring, there's going to be a lot of kids that's going to be cut from the fall. And you know what? If they're cut from a major D1, think what they're going to be doing. They're going to be shifting right on down to JUCOs to play. And these JUCOs are going to have, is basically going to be a farm team for, you know, ain't going to be stacked, you know. So you can't look at a JUCO, because I know the Highlands team last year would have destroyed a bunch of D1 schools. I mean, they were just that good. And so in this year, he's doing great. I mean, you know, he's doing everything he's supposed to do. But again, you got to still remember, there's still some baggage about Miami. He's 2 years out of Miami, but we're still having to answer questions about Miami. And also remember, we don't know what he done. Nobody's told us that he's you know, every coach that we talk to say we love him. He has a good attitude, doesn't, you know, no cause any problems. We don't know what is being said about him, but the coach loves him. Like I said, never been in trouble with the law, haven't flunked any drug tests, don't have any children. Okay, he has a 2.8 GPA. Remember, he left high school with a and got a 1200 on his SAT. So again, the question is, why do people want to keep this kid from succeeding? But I never leave his fate in anyone's hand. So, you know, he is going to be successful. It's just a matter of him putting in his work and wasting his time. He's got a full ride to go to schools if he want to accept it. Other schools are still you know, we're still waiting. But to be honest, that's pretty much his story. Okay, he's doing his thing, and he's overcoming whatever's getting in front of him.
I mean, you guys have done a awesome job with him. I mean, I was very impressed with him. I mean, when I was impressed when I met him as a 10th grader on the phone and being a guest on the show. So I definitely want to you know, make sure that you get your kudos for that. But let me get a couple questions in, because I actually want to go away. I want to go back. There's a couple of questions from back to high school. And then, because I just wanted you to go and let it be told, but then I want to go back and just kind of ask some questions based off of that. But we're getting some questions from some parents that's coming in.
Okay.
Mike says, was he able to go back to being drafted every year after being at a 4-year school?
If 4-year schools, if you go, see, once you go D1 and you end up going to Miami, Florida, Arizona, any one of these D1 schools, you can't be drafted till after your junior season, unless it's an age. I think
it's 21.
Yeah, 21.
Unless you're going to be 21. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can have a great freshman year and knock the cover off the ball. The next 2 years, if you don't do well, you can't be drafted. It's going to be based off of your junior year. The good thing about going JUCO is every year you can be drafted. If you go out there and you knock the cover off that ball and there's a team that likes you and thinks that they want you, you can get drafted, you know. And I think that's going to be the route that's going to be coming up for a lot of kids, especially pitchers. It's a haven for top-notch pitchers. You know, there's a lot of guys in the pros now that decided I'm gonna go JUCO 1 year, and then because I didn't like the money that I was gonna get, then they go from there. So, you know, you get a lot of high prospect kids that go D1, and again, you can't see them until their junior year. Okay, and some people say, you know, they decide they'd rather go to school, and that's fine. Yeah, it's fine. You can do it either way. They'd rather go and have that experience. Well, you just got to make a decision on your own and what's important. But again, if your child is a high level that you think could possibly be drafted, I don't see why you wouldn't go JUCO 2 years and then see where the money range is. And then if that doesn't work, you end up going back D1. If I had hindsight, if I had to do it over again, I think I would have probably put him in JUCO once he got hurt and let him and take that route and then come back to a D1 if it didn't work out. Because you're still going to get your degree, okay? You still get scholarships for JUCO if you're that good, and it doesn't harm your child in any way.
I just want to piggyback off of what you said, and my listeners, y'all know how I feel about junior college, all right? So what he's saying is exactly right. And the Central, I just want to say two things. The two Central Arizona, and Chris is saying the same thing. The Central Arizona coach put it in my head because I always think 2 years JUCO, get out of JUCO, getting drafted. But if you look at what Central Arizona head coach said and what Chris is saying, essentially, you have every year, if you go to junior college route, you have every year to get drafted because you got 2 years in junior college and then that third year in junior. And if it don't work out, you got 4 years. If you do the 4-year school, you got to wait 3 years. And he's saying he's right. You can ball out your freshman year and not do nothing the last two. Now you caught. You know what I'm saying? But I also want to say this too. Chris and Myla, they are in a unique situation because their son is like cream in the crop, the top level. And he's telling that from a high level, young athlete, baseball players. I'm also saying it for that undersized kid. I'm saying it for that kid that necessarily don't have a whole bunch of offers coming out. JUCO is your route there too. You see what I'm saying? Where you get bigger, stronger, faster. It may not be a Wabash, big time JUCO, but there are other JUCOs out there that are right for you to get bigger, stronger, faster, and play right away. And I'm just, I just wanted to kind of say that because you saying it from your side, where Hylan has that big, he's coming in with, he's with a lot of those guys do it for, and that's why that high level JUCOs, they're filled with draftable guys.
Yes, they are.
Turn down a lot of money. Am I right, Chris?
You are exactly right. There's high level guys at those schools, and especially at those high level JUCOs. They're basically,
pitchers.
The pitchers are it's ridiculous. At the Highland School right now, there's a lot of kids that transferred from D1 that are playing with Highland this year. And they come from D1s and a bunch of the major D1 schools. That's where they come from. And they're playing JUCO. Okay. So again, JUCO is not what you think. If you think that JUCO is for kids that can't play, you are absolutely wrong. Okay. These kids are some of the best kids in the country.
And and just it's funny. I'm laughing because I'm thinking of the story about a kid that was in Vanderbilt and his dad. He was a junior. He was about to. I met him in February of the kid's senior year, and he was all about Vanderbilt. The kid didn't like it. Boom, transferred, and now he's at Ole Miss. But just to hear the shift, and I talked to him last year for a little bit for the first time, and about since all that happened. And his shift in talking was, JUCO this. Oh, I love JUCO. I'm getting my other son to play JUCO. I want you guys to think about the whole family, right? Back to that sophomore, junior year with the Miamis and the Floridas, because this is what, these are where most of these parents are at right now. They look at the 4-year schools and they thinking that, I want my kid to go D1 or Division 2 or whatever. The whole family, now thinking, what's up now, but I'm saying back then. What would you guys ever think? Were you guys ever thinking JUCO route and everything with Hylan being the big time dude that he was back then as a sophomore, junior?
No, we were caught up just like every other parent
in the hype.
We were caught up in that hype going, oh, my kid is a D1 prospect, okay? And he's going to go to the major schools, out there. But you really, like I say, hindsight is 20/20. You only know what you know, but you don't know. You understand? And if what I know now, okay, with the type of athlete that he is, I would have went JUCO. I think I would have went JUCO first because you got to go D1 again. If this doesn't work out and he doesn't get what, the kind of money that he deserves, he's going to go back D1. So what is it that he's losing? But he also gained the opportunity that if he does something great this year, guess what? He could be drafted again this year. So So we're not losing anything, because now we can decide out of the schools that, and just to be honest, he has full rides at a couple schools. So he actually
already right now. If he wants,
they've already, because they've seen him play and they say, we want this kid. He has a full ride to go play baseball now. He didn't have that. Okay, you had to pay a percentage, at the school he was at before, and at the school that he was going to before that. Okay, it wasn't a full ride. They didn't give out full rides. Now he's offering a full ride, so we're actually coming out better than we did, if he would have stayed. Because if he had a great year this year, he had to do it again next year. Because if he have any down year, that's going to be held against him. So I mean, you make the decision as a parent. If you just God set on your kid going D1, then by all means, I'm not trying to take anybody away from D1s. Okay, it depends on what picture you're looking at. Okay, like I say, my son, if he doesn't get what he wants this year, he's going D1. So we're still in that same boat.
All right. The Mike says, does he get a year of eligibility back from this year?
I think they can. He could be a freshman again this year, but I don't know how you be a freshman twice at JUCO when all of a sudden, once you finish your grades, remember he's gonna have his AA at the end of this year. So I mean, I don't know what it is.
It'd be no different from a 4-year guy, getting his degree, and he could come back, still take grad classes if he wants to, and still play. You know what I mean? So it'll be no different.
But I think at that point, if it comes out that he doesn't get drafted the way he wants, I think he wants to go and experience another D1 again. Because I'm talking to him. He said, I've learned from what happened at Miami. He said that'll never happen to me again, which makes me feel good, because he does take some responsibility for, being late, things like that. He takes responsibility for it. And that's part of maturity. 18-year-old kid. He's getting ready to be 20. And he has grown up a lot, so.
All right. Let me, Raymond says, good luck to Hylan. I see him being a success story in the future. All right, no doubt. All right, let me see here. I'm just reading these comments. I'm just, as you're talking, sad rumors can destroy a young athlete's dream, but sounds like he has enough talent to be found wherever he plays. Good luck. All right.
We're not gonna let rumors destroy him.
Right. And I hate to say it, baseball is always known. And who told me this? Coach, when early in the game, said this to me. He said, "You know what, D?" He said, "Labels are always easy to be put on you and hard to get off you." You know what I'm saying? And I remember that coach told me that when I was 18, 19, and man, it's the truth, man. So, but Trisha says, "How do you make decision as far as the best fit coach for your kid if JUCOs are an option? Do they all speak the same language to the players and families?"
Again, every coach, and this goes up, and this is not a knock on coaches. Every coach gives you their best feel. Every coach tells you your kid's going to have opportunity to do this, to do that. That right there is a flip of the coin. Okay. And that's all I can tell you. You have to make sure that you do all the research you can do on previous guys that are at these schools, and guys that are at these schools, and kind of get a feel if your kid fits there. If you're looking at a school and there's 17 outfielders on that team, and your kid's an outfielder, you're in for a battle. You might want to think twice. It's all about picking the school that you feel your kid can play at. Because I don't care what athlete they are. If you're sitting on the bench, you're not going to be happy. And it's just that simple. Okay, so picking a school is picking that coach that gives you that feeling that team needs you. Because there's some coaches that'll tell you, hey, we're going to give him opportunity to compete. Hey, that's all I can give you. At that point, it depends on your kid's ability. Okay, if your kid has the ability to come in there and take a job, then you don't have no problem. Honestly, we don't have that problem. If you give him an opportunity, he's gonna take somebody's job. He did when he went to Wabash. Okay, you know, if he's healthy and have the opportunity, if you feel your kid has that type of talent, you don't have anything to worry about. Your kid's going to be on the field. But if you think your kid is still developing, now that becomes the point where you have to really choose the school wisely, and that's got to be something that you have to talk to your coach, his head coach, coming out of high school. Use these guys. There are a lot of information from coaches all around that can tell you a lot about a lot of schools. I mean, if you know, hindsight, if I could have got to a couple people, then, you know, I probably would have made a couple different decisions. But again, I'm caught up in that different light. I'm caught up in a kid that if he don't tear his knee up, would have probably been drafted high enough to where he'd be out right now playing baseball. Okay, but that's a different story.
And that's the truth. We talked about it, and that's how I said. And you know, the few people I talked, they all talk the same about you know, Hylan's ability, and you know, definitely being a pro. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, barring injury, you just gotta stay healthy. He definitely gonna do his thing up there, man. As far as baseball instruction, what made the most impact on your son's development, and who do you trust your son with baseball-wise regarding the type of training and coaching?
Well, I know most people say this. I've tried several times to let other people coach Hylan, but it's kind of hard. Like when you know, I go get a pitching coach, and the first thing they say is, "I wouldn't change a thing." I'm not paying anybody for them to say that about my kid. It's like, if you can't coach him, then if you're saying at 15 or 14 he's doing everything right on that mound, then I can't pay my money for you to coach him. Hylan, you know, he was just talented.
He learned a lot from his dad.
I don't want to say that.
He doesn't want to say it.
Hylan was just talented enough to where a lot of baseball.
Dad being modest, huh? Dad being modest over there, huh? That's what it is, huh?
You know, Hylan was talented enough where baseball came easy to him. It didn't matter what he did; he excelled at it, and I let him do it.
Chris can make a mule a stud, okay?
That's right. Speaking, Mom. That's right. Hey, so I want to get. I have a few more questions, but let me ask you this, Chris, because you said something that I don't hear this happening, and I wanted to, you know, you said you had Hylan take a year off, entering high school. You said he took a whole year off of playing baseball. Did you know at the end that baseball was going to be his main sport? Or
I had a strong feeling because that it was based on everything that I've seen. I know, I've learned. I knew that. I always tell people, you know, enjoy what your kids do in Little League on that little diamond, that 200-foot fence, that 315. 400 in center, 325 in the corners. It makes a man out of you. It shows you whether you can play or not. Okay. Baseball, what people don't realize is there's some athletes in baseball. These guys can run, these guys can hit, and these guys can throw. They're athletes. Okay. And
that's coming from a D1 football player talking that, right? Right there, right?
Yeah, there's some athletes. These guys are. These guys are real good. I mean, when Hylan was at perfect game, and these guys, remember now, you got Jaron Ely. He's playing at Ole Miss. You got Maurice Hampton playing at LSU. These guys are playing football, okay? But these guys were hell of a baseball players. So again, baseball is not what people think. It's just, okay, you come out here, I make good grades, so I deserve to be on the team. It don't work like that. Okay. Yeah, good grades help, but these coaches want athletes. Okay. These guys running 6'4", 6'2", you know, 6'3", okay, that's, you know, equivalent of 4 4s and 4 3s, you know, in football. So these guys can flat out play. They're throwing that ball 90 plus from the outfield. Okay. You got guys on that mound throwing that ball 95, 96, you know, constantly. You know, these guys throwing the ball 90 across that diamond. You know, that's the gold standard. You know, so if you're looking at your kid and you want to test your kid to see where your kid is, okay, do a college style or pro style workout with them and time their 60. Okay, if you want to know if your child is good enough to go and compete against top-notch players, time him. If he's 6'7", if he can run a 6'7" or better, he's right in the ballpark. He's in the 95 percentile of the kids that want. If you're a pitcher and you can throw that ball 88 miles an hour, you're a D1 prospect. But if you're trying to be a pro prospect, you better throw that thing 90 plus in order to be a pro prospect coming out of high school. Okay? If you want to be a pro prospect coming out of high school, you got to throw that ball over 90 from that outfield. Okay? So there's standards that are set that you can measure your child's standard. And if he meets those standards, then you know what you got. If he don't, doesn't mean he can't play. He just needs to develop a little bit more. So, and that's, you know, you just gotta be, I tell people, don't be naive of what you think your child is. You know, grades are great. Don't get me wrong. Grades are great, but grades not going to get you to the pros. I can tell you that right now. Okay. I mean, most all kids that go on to play baseball, they got good grades. They might not have 4.0, but they got enough grades to get money from that school. You know, so again, grades are great. What is important? If you think the grades are important and you don't think that and that's what you're going for, by all means, go for it. But if you think your kid has an opportunity to go play pro ball, you better concentrate on what I just told you, because that's going to be the key. That's what the scouts and what everybody's going to look at. They're going to sit there and they're going to look at that kid throw, and they're going to put that gun out. And if that gun say 94, 95, you're a pro prospect. Straight up. No questions asked. You might have threw it up there and hit the guy upside the head. You're a pro prospect if you throw that ball 94, 95. Just that simple. I'm sorry, I went on a tangent. Go ahead.
Nah, hey, I'm letting it, trust me, man. You letting it rip, and you talking some real stuff. So, because again, you know, and then you saying the only thing I'll chime in and say when you go into these pro style and showcases and all of that, you come to mind, and I'll do all the testing you need. All right, but anyway, my thing is what he's saying is you got different levels in this, all right? Because everybody feel like their kid is, you know, that kid and that you know, this and that, right? Because I get parents that come to me, oh, my kid ran a 7 something, and this particular place he ran a 6 something, and oh, my kid throw this at this time and all of that. I said, listen, you know, I get it. You know what I mean? I'm like, I gotta, you know, chart what I see. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if I'm sure Hylan every now pretty much 9 out of 10 times is running 6'7" or better. Pretty much. You tell me he's running 6'7" as a 14-year-old. That means he, as a 14-year-old, he was above major league average speed-wise. If you're telling me he throwing 90-something from the outfield and all of that, from a 14 and all of that, that means he was a pro prospect from that young. You know what I'm saying? So, again, certain guys are just kind of ready to go out the gate. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean when they go to college, they can't get the numbers up and all that. That's what college is for. It's just, you know, extra years of getting your development in. All right. So he's telling you all these numbers and everything that his son was doing, and he still, you know, because of injury and stuff like that, ended up in school. But he, you know, that's how he got to Florida commits as a sophomore, Miami and all of that there, you know, because he's at that level. Most of those guys that are going to Miami or committing early have a real chance to getting drafted. You know what I'm saying? So out of high school. So again, that's why I let you talk. You know what I'm saying? You talking some real stuff. So Jeff says Hylan was gifted as they come, 6'2", 190, 6'5" runner, 93 off the bump. All right. So Jeff down in Florida doing his thing. So
what people have to realize too is, when the draft come around, it's a lot of guys that don't go. But you know what? The schools are picking, and they were picking at Miami going, he's not coming. So they're already trying to replace him, thinking he's not coming. Okay. And this happening at every school. You know, a lot of these major schools have 3, 4, 5 guys that could possibly be drafted every year. Now, something happened, or they decide they don't want to take that money. Well, guess what? The kids that they recruited behind them are in trouble now because these kids decide to go to that school. Now, all of a sudden, you that they thought that it was going to fit in, or now you're not playing. Now you're looking for another school. So it's a circus wheel that's going on at these schools because, you know, that pro prospect decided that wasn't enough money. I'm going to school. And it just pushed you down that ladder, you know? And unfortunately, that happens a lot.
Hey, and you hear these stories, and he basically saying from that side of it of you know, and that's when you get the phone calls, and that's when you get the you know from the college coach saying, listen, we did commit to you as far as verbally, but when it's time to sign, we're gonna go a different route, and that's what happens with a lot of these kids that have been walking around a year and a half saying that they going to the school and they until those numbers come back and everything, and you're not going there. So, you know, verbal commits are just verbal, man. You know what I'm saying?
And I can tell you one thing.
What's that?
At a JUCO with Hylan right now, there's 50-something kids there. Think about that. 50-something kids. Think about that.
Dang.
So
50-something, huh?
50-something kids at a JUCO trying to make a team.
And it's only gonna get worse because them drafts are getting smaller.
There
you
it
know,
is.
the minor leagues are, you know, those guys. So honestly, from a parent standpoint, listen, it's all this. I'm not, and I brought, you know, Myla and Chris on, and I told her, I said, you're gonna scare some people, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to
not trying to.
right. But we're educating, you know what I'm saying? But I just kind of want, you know.
But you deserve to know. Everybody deserves to know how this works. It's a business. Don't think that this coach is going to lose his job over your kid. If you think that, then you're wrong. These coaches is trying. Remember, they make millions of dollars coaching baseball. They're not going to lose their job over your kid.
Yeah, that's all. We just educating yourself, man. So I love it, man. Raymond said, as a parent, my oldest son is a D1 kickback. Went to 2 years at California JUCO, and now is at his dream school, Cal State Fullerton. All right.
There you go. There you go. You know, and that's nothing wrong with that.
All right. Rashad says, all right, Hylan is the dude, straight stud. All right. Cynthia says, shout out to Cynthia, Louisiana. Thanks for sharing your story. I love your transparency. That's all I wanted to bring them on. Let's just tell that real story. Tell that real stuff, man. Let's go here. Love parent coach. What issues you ran into coaching your son or taking him to the next level?
Well, I decided I didn't want to coach my son. I let Coach Brewer, his high school coach, deal with him. I tried to stay away from it so it didn't become a father-son, because you know what, you're harder on your kids than the coach will actually be. I actually let the head coach, and I tried to, just coach other kids. I mean, again, I know people look at me and they go, okay, Chris, I don't understand why you're still coaching. Okay, your kid's gone. I like to help kids. I mean, it has nothing to do with whether my kid left Ocoee High School, went to go play at the academy, and I stayed at Ocoee High School and coached and still kept coaching. Again, I try to tell you, it wasn't about my kid. I'm there to help. I made a commitment, and I tried to stay at that commitment. And plus, I'm trying to teach my son a standard. And I think, I didn't think he was getting it, but I think by talking with him now, some of our conversation, I think we were finally transferring from dad, son to more of I can enjoy him a little bit more now. Now when we have conversations, he understands what I was talking about. Because, like I say, baseball is, and I hate to say it, baseball is different for black kids, unfortunately. Okay. It's got a lot better and it's getting a lot better. Okay. But the standards, we're held at a different standard. You have to really conduct yourself a certain way. I mean, if you steer off of that, you're going to have consequences, you know, and that's something that my son had to learn. The talent's there, but, you know, people, and you got to understand, if he doesn't learn to play the game, he's going to lose money. Yeah, they'll still take him, but they're going to pay him a lot less than what he's deserving. So he's learned now that, you know, play the game, be exactly what you need to be, because if you're trying to make that serious money, you're not going to make it if you don't play that game. It's just that simple.
We call that the game within the game.
His coach at Wabash, he's learning a lot from his coach, and he's doing what he needs to do.
Best situation for him.
Best
He's in
situation.
the best situation.
Best situation.
Can y'all just you know, small little Myla, if you could kind of like from a mom's perspective, why do you feel like, you know, the Wabash coach and all of that and that situation is, you know, like, why do you feel like it's the best situation for him right now?
It seems like, you know, the coach cares about developing him as a person and a player. You know, he's not just looking for wins. You know, he's not trying to be Hylan's best friend. And I think that's one of the things Hylan got caught up in the past with coaches who he felt like they were his best friend and he could talk to them and he could say certain things. Well, this coach is old school and he's about, you know, work ethic. You know, he's about character, about doing things a certain way. He's about consistency. And that's what Hylan needed. And he's doing it. We spoke to the coach a while back, and the coach is very proud of him and very impressed with, you know, the way their relationship has blossomed, and just what, you know, he sees happening to Hylan in the future.
And what I can tell you about some coaches, if they're hanging out with your kids, get away from them.
Yes.
A coach that portrays himself as a buddy is really not that type of person you want to be around. I'm not saying joking and having fun with them when you're out there. I'm talking about, hey, come over to the house. We're going to watch television. We're going to do all that stuff. As a coach, I can't do that with any of my kids that I coach. I can't do it. That's crossing the line. And that's kind of a problem that you got to deal with when you start looking at some of these guys that are coaching. You be careful when you catch a coach that's doing something like that, because when it goes bad, they're gonna throw your son under the bus and they're gonna say he was doing this, he was doing that, he was doing this, because they're gonna try to save their
job. Yep.
You know, so that's just a little nugget. Be careful when you run into coaches that are trying to be your son's friend.
And I hate to say that too. It's like that in the professional game too. So he's telling you that on all different levels. He's right. All right. Cynthia says, I'm ready to come to the camp with the league we played with. They're saying he's ready for the college level. That was at 16, playing with 18-year-old levels. Some great information to watch him now. All right. All right, Cynthia. Look forward to seeing you. Hopefully get down to those Texas camps, like you said. Let me see here. Seem as though Hylan has a very strong support system that is well tuned in how things work. I wish the young man much success going forward. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Sharice says good stuff. Sharice, you next. You next coming on here. This is my mom. I was talking about yesterday who I was talking to over the weekend. So I'm trying to get her on. You know what I mean? I'm glad she peeked her head in there. So you see how this goes, Sharice? I hope you next. Tell your story. Because she got her own, her son's a D1, was it D1 at a D1 school, had his own issue, middle infielder, you know, going through very similar stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I that's why I like to just share this, you know. And so people learn more from just me talking. Trust me, this is real life stuff, man. Y'all going through the real stuff. For real. Thank you, Chris and Myla, for sharing Hylan's story. It's a great one, no doubt about it. All right. Let me see here. I just want to kind of go through these comments. Real-time facts, Mr. Hall. Great info. Be prepared to showcase your skills if you think you're D1 material. That's right.
Yep.
And just believe
Now,
in,
one thing I can say about that is,
go ahead.
I know a lot of people, I'm not knocking travel ball, but if your kid is good enough to go to school, you got to get in front of some of these schools. You can go to the camps. Okay. Remember, we went to a Florida camp. We paid $100 to go to a camp, and he was offered on the spot because of what he did at a camp. It doesn't necessarily always have to be at showcases. Showcases are great. Don't get me wrong, but you still have to show some interest in getting your kids in front of these schools. Okay, not just at a showcase. You look up and see where these camps are, and you know what? You take your kid to those camps. You talk to your head coach, and your head coach should call these schools and say, I'm bringing a kid over. I need you to take a look at it. Just that simple. That's all your head coach needs to do. And they say, okay, well, we'll take a look at it. And that can be the difference between your kid going D1 or not. So again, just think about that. It's not always, sometimes you need to go to the schools.
Hey, and listen, he is. I'm getting goosebumps with Sharice. I hope I keep saying that. I'm just saying he over there preaching right now. So again, you can go to these big time showcases. Mine getting there. All right, but I'm talking about all that. But get your butt on these campuses.
Get on the campuses.
Those are the big things, and that's what I'm glad that he said what he said, and I hope y'all listening, man. Brian, shout out to B Web. I ain't seen you forever. Gosh, y'all bringing out old guests. I ain't seen it forever. So, B Web says, how do you feel about Perfect Game?
I have no problem with it. Remember, my son went to 2 Perfect Game events, and he was a parade All-American, Perfect Game All-American. He went to the East Coast Pro. He played in all the big events. He went to 2.
And
now,
eventually,
it hurt him when it came to making the USA team because he wasn't in front of them. Okay, and they pretty much had picked that team way before they wasn't expecting him to show up and do as well as he did. Okay, but no, I have no problem with it. But again, like I told some kids before, if you got a kid and you're getting ready to send your kid to a Perfect Game event, now understand what Perfect Game is going to do. Your kid's going to get on that mound and pitch. Remember, first impressions is very important. Remember, I told you my kid went to his first one at age 14 and threw 88 off the mound. Okay? I know people that send their kids to a Perfect Game and their first pitching is 72 miles an hour or 68 off the mound.
And it's 16 years old.
And you're 16 or 15 years old, okay?
But that's what everybody tell them they got to go to get seen. And
remember what I said. I said when your kid is ready, okay, because this is what's going to happen. That school's going to look at that Perfect Game event and they're going to see that 62 or that 8 or that 78, and they're going to push right by your kid and not give it another thought as a pitcher. They're going to go right to that kid that's throwing 86, 87, 88, 89. Now, if you would have waited and your kid get to that point and he's new on it, guess what? He possibly get ranked. Understand, your kid can get ranked in Perfect Game. They're not going to rank your kid throwing 68 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour. Okay? If you're a junior, okay, and you're throwing less than 80, you're not going to be ranked. Okay? There's nothing you can do by seeing, and I don't care if your kid wins every game he pitches. And I don't think people quite understand that. Your kid go out there and throw for 2 innings. Remember, it's a showcase. Your kid gonna throw 1 or 2 innings. Your kid go out there and throw for 2 innings and give up no runs, got a 0 ERA. It means absolutely nothing to these college coaches and these pros. All they want to know is what you look like on that gun. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. So my thing is, remember, my son didn't do any of these events until he was ready. I was not going to have his first outing be him throwing the ball 79 miles an hour. Okay? When I knew he can throw it, when he was ready, I let him go out there and throw 88. And guess what? I think he jumped into the rankings at 100 immediately at 100 something. Immediately. And then when they really find out he can hit and run, he dropped. He made it all the way down to 16 in the country. I think it was like 16 in the country. Okay. And it had nothing to do with whether he could play or not. It had to do with the fact that he could run fast, he can hit the ball, okay, and he can throw that rock. That was it. You know, and there was kids out there that can blast that ball over the gate anytime, but they run an 8-2 down the line. Unfortunately, this is where we are when it comes to baseball. Okay. I can't say it any different than that.
Listen, if you got some, no. Sometimes you know, the last person that spoke that real stuff was my boy Luke Kaya, right? Luke came on and said that same thing. He basically preaching the same thing. Showcase sounds good, and the perfect games and everybody make it out to be like this is where you got to be, right. But it ain't for everybody. Like that doesn't mean you can't play in school and all of that, but you know, he's basically saying there's a standard that needs to be set. Just because you get a chance to play on the field, and you know, you may just want to go for the experience. I got it, but don't get upset and all of that when you know your kid is not under the perfect game rankings and all that type of stuff, because that's what it's for. It's for the measurables, and that's basically what he said. Like you get to go to the showcase, your kid got to be showcased.
And what you need to understand is when you start going to these big organizations, guess what? My son played, and we didn't pay a dime. Everybody behind us that was on those second, third, fourth, fifth teams, they paid for us. Okay, so you got to understand if there's an organization and there's 7 teams, all in the same age group, there's really 1 to 2 top teams. Everybody else is basically paying the way. So if you're on that 6 team, you know, and they give you a great name called Elite, which to me, I don't understand how they do it. You know, you're the 7th team and they're calling you Elite because you had a tryout and a whole bunch of people showed up, and you say, well, shoot, we don't want none of these people to get away, so we gonna make another team. That doesn't necessarily mean that your kid is playing elite baseball. Okay. Some people your kid might need to stay at learning baseball and not be out there trying to play. Because let me tell you, you don't practice in showcases. You show up and you go play.
They don't teach you anything. You
practice at your high school or with your coach. That's where you get practice at. And some of these high schools have stopped practicing. All right, I'm sorry. I'm talking to you.
No. I really want to say, shh. You all the beans. You telling this business inside out right now. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry.
No, they need to hear it, but I love it. That's all. Let's like B Web says. You guys. He basically said you on a 6 or 17. You ain't elite. You know what I'm saying? You ain't elite team. All right, that's what he's saying over there. Lord have mercy. He's preaching right now. Wish him the best. Hylan speaks to my nephew, Niger Victor, regarding about his process in doing the right things. So that's Dwayne. Shout out to my Dwayne Maduro.
East Ridge.
Yeah.
All right.
Hylan speaks to a lot of young men, and that's one thing I do love about it. He's not afraid to reach out, and he helps anybody he can. He has a great heart, and you know, so we hear that all the time. Thank you.
All right. The Brad says that is real spill. LOL. That's right. He's speaking that real stuff. Let's say here we have I'm just gonna say Peter Z. My son is 14. We have signed with a recruiting service. My son has been attending local colleges and showcases and has been a few looks. All right. Good luck to that. All right. Holla at me about that stuff. Yeah. No wonder the young man is successful. He has a great foundations, perseverance. All right. The Carl says, oops, I missed it. Carl says, what's more important for development in your eyes? Locked in on a position and winning tons of games, or playing all spot, losing more than winning?
Look, we got little medallions running all over the place here. It means absolutely nothing. Okay, it means absolutely nothing. If your kid is playing in a league and he has a chance to play baseball and get good development, that's all you need. Running around, playing travel ball, if your kid is good enough to do that, I have no problem with that. Okay, but understand that all that is in development of him trying getting to a certain point. Okay, if you're using it as development to get to a certain point, then it's great. If you're using that to try, and your main purpose is this coach is gonna help him get a scholarship to this and that, no, your kid gets the scholarship. The coach doesn't get your kid a scholarship. Your kid gets the scholarship based on how he plays. So stop believing that the coach is going to give you a scholarship. The coach can put you in line to get one, but it's your kid's ability that's going to get your kid a scholarship.
Connect you.
All right. I told my son about his football assistant coach. I'm not for that either. Then the wife wanted to bring him home. The worst part, this was white couple. I had to nip that. They were talking about the coaches being cool with that was, these comments are from, a little while ago. But that was when you were talking about the coaches being too cool with your son,
Right.
Yeah. Smart.
Right.
You want a professional coach. That's what you want.
All right. Coach Eaton said, tell Chris to send me some players to post grad. All right, Coach Eaton, I think I posted it already.
I got several kids that we working with over here but you got to tell me your standard, what you're looking for.
All right. Charlene says great info. And then Nadine says your story is informative and enlightening. Looking for Hylan in the draft. All right. We have here, we said, we got Pablo said, hello, Coach D from Louisiana. Great interview. My 13 is going to high school next year. People are telling me to hold him back. This is a good or a bad idea. So I'm gonna let you, Chris, answer that, talking about holding back.
Well, it's not a bad idea. I tell people that all the time. I mean, when we was at Akoi, we had several kids that should have been with Hylan, but it was one grade ahead. And one kid, he grew from his junior, he was a senior, should have been a junior. Parents had him higher than what he should. He grew 3 inches and put on and became a good-looking kid that would have probably did more in baseball, but he was little his senior year because he just wasn't developed. We thought about it too. If we could have held Hylan back 1 year, it would have been crazy. But a lot of kids there was a kid that got drafted, I don't know if it was last year or the year before. He was 19. Okay. But again, he was competing with the 18, with Hylan and those kids. Okay. So it's not a bad idea if you're able to do it. I'm just going to leave that there.
All right. Cherie says, yes, sir. Get on campus. That's where it happens. That's right, Cherie. This is what we talked about over the weekend. I'm talking about just going on the camps. These are old comments, but getting on those camps. Get on the campus.
Gotta get in front of that coach.
All right. Laquita says great info. Clay says great info on perfect game. This is why, man. This is why I started this platform, man. I just believe that this is something that everybody needs to see and listen to, just to kind of get that education, behind it. So, Olin says D1 isn't everything. I've seen more guys go pro out of JUCO in high school. I agree. Most guys at the D1 level don't get playing time until the junior year. So why not think about JUCO? All right. This is And again, this took for me to get on this show over here to bring on my friends who I know them from the pro side. I don't really know their background like that, but all of them started at JUCO. I was like, Dad, you know,
I'm telling you,
this every
some
one of them.
athletes at JUCO. There's some serious athletes at JUCO.
All right. Dewana says, thank you for the information. You are welcome. All right. Preach. Thank you. Good stuff right there. All right. Wow, real facts. All right. Okay, here we go. Here we got a question here. All right. What do you think about year-round training for baseball and not playing other sports?
Actually,
Dad?
actually, they like you to play other sports. I honestly, I don't think you need to do year-round, especially if you're pitching. Why tear your arm up? Pitching year-round. It makes no sense. Okay, at least you want to be able to get something out of it. You want to at least be able to get to college where you at least can get a degree or something out of it. I don't see a problem if you're a position player. You playing year-round, it keeps your skill up. That's not a problem with that. I have no problem. Pitchers need breaks. And if you're not taking any breaks and you're pitching and you're throwing in a same amount of innings and you're not even at high school yet, that makes no sense to me, because the object is for your kid to have an opportunity to play college ball. So why are you killing him at 12, 13? Oh, well, let me change that. 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 playing year-round when he's a pitcher, and he's a pitcher only. I mean, it makes no sense to me. And yeah, he's winning games, but those are meaningless games, okay? It doesn't get him anything, okay? When he gets to high school is when it starts to be meaningful games, because now you get a chance for people to see you, and you get a chance to, to get in front of somebody. I'm not telling you not to play 9, 10, 11, 12, but be careful about your pitching, okay? Because kids are getting Tommy John earlier and earlier now, okay? And it's because of the overthrowing. They're throwing curveballs a lot earlier. They're throwing sliders. They're throwing all these pitches. I didn't let Hylan throw a curveball until I think he was 12. Hylan would just go up there and just shove fastballs down. That's all I would let him throw. I did not let him throw curveballs. Okay? And that was just me. That was my thing. I didn't want, that's why I gave him a year off. Just take a year off and relax. Just go shoot a basketball. I don't care. Just don't do anything baseball-wise.
You didn't worry that may hurt his development? You didn't worry about that at that time?
No, because at that time, I knew what he was capable of doing. No, but let me change that. He took a year off. He didn't play the travel ball season. He didn't play for a whole year. But I had it timed where he played Akoi Little League. I let him go play at the Little League and just enjoy himself right before the season. So he played shortstop. He pitched a little bit, and he was able to swing the bat just to get back in the groove going into it. So he did do something just before going into high school. So he wasn't just completely cold going in.
All right. Okay. Maybe it's some of the other page. Sometimes it doesn't come up, but the Dante, shout out to my boy Dante, Cal State Fullerton, ex Major Leaguer. Good work, real talk show, no doubt. Anthony, softball dad. I'm sharing this on my fast pitch forum. All right. Mike said, wow, that's such good advice. My boy Roosevelt Brown, shout out to Rosie, ex-Major Leaguer. It takes tools to play above high school. Great idea, Chris. Got to treat him like a restored old Porsche. You only let him out when his tools dictate it. All right. Anthony says, yes, it drives me nuts when those organizations say they are elite. Not many kids or organizations understand the definition of the word elite. All right. Jacob in San Antonio says, what do you think about okay, I think we talked about the two-sport athletes. All right.
No problem. That's good.
Yep. Okay.
That's very good.
Rosie says, this is all for this is all for all you kids who are getting recruited. You go where you need it, not where you're wanted. Colleges want everyone who's good. Please go where you are needed because you'll play. All right. Good advice, Rosie. All right.
Who you need it.
That's right. And okay. I'll keep your guys on for a couple more months. You know, I appreciate, you spending your time this afternoon / evening with me. And I'll get y'all last few questions in there, get you going on about your day. I appreciate y'all doing this. But does Hylan play collegiate summer ball or rest after a competitive spring season?
Remember, Corona was going on. This would have been his first year playing. He actually played a little bit of summer ball when he came home. Okay. His team actually won the summer collegiate league championship. It's a good thing. They actually take care of the kids pretty well. I mean, but you got to remember, this was when the Corona and everything was hitting, so it was a little tough. But I don't see any problem with that.
All right. Cynthia says, "Mind data, his curveball is crazy. We would tell him no curve, but he did. Now he's not pitching no more." All right, hard-headed. They worry about getting them out. That's what it is. They worry about getting out. Nadine said, "I know a kid that had Tommy John surgery at 14. It's sad how some coaches use these kids to win. It's important for parents to be involved when pitching, to watch pitch count." All right, no doubt about it.
We played a team when Hylan was 12. The kid threw nothing but curveballs at him, and I just shook my head.
Listen, man. So we going. I appreciate you guys taking out the time and just great information, man. This is obviously has been one of the most informative interviews I've done, and this is the reason why I wanted to bring you guys on to share your story. I mean, parents listening, you guys have heard some real stuff, man, about the ups and downs, the recruiting side, the good, bad, things that if you could get 1 or 2 tips from this interview, then it was well worth it, I believe. So listen, we are I want you guys, Chris and Myla, I want each one of you guys to take us out on your specific message. I want you guys to think about it as I'm kind of saying my little pleasantries out there, but I want you to think about your ending message. But so anyway, this weekend, right, we're going to be in Mississippi for the showcase. He talked about these times and stuff and how important they are, right? So we're going to have scouts there. We got 4 confirmed, and obviously got the live streaming of the for the coaches. Sunday, I'm still, with the whole Atlanta thing, I'm thinking it's probably not going to be a go with Atlanta for Sunday. Following weekend, we're going down to Florida, y'all parts over there. All right, we're gonna be at Harmony High School. All right, next Saturday, October 24th. So just confirm with that down in Harmony High School, St. Cloud, Florida. So we're gonna be there. Then the following weekend, we're gonna be in Dallas. So I know I have a lot of people that has been reaching out to me on the recruiting side of things here and there. Again, this is the information I get, you know what I'm saying? And I try to share and connect it with the connections and everything that I've been dealing with this show, all right? And helping as best I can. That's why I get to meet parents like, the Halls and Therese and all these people, because I just, I'm nosy. I want to see if I could just be of any assistance. That's how I met these, way back when I was in 10th grade, and just try to give a little bit of advice and help, and if I could, as best I can. Obviously, they have a great support system. Hylan has a great support system, but it's been fun to watch his progression. And who knows, down the line what I can help, them with. And that's what it's here for. That's just a community type of thing. And I like to hear, young talent and just share the story on this type of platform about how, if you listen to the Hylan's interview last year, he talked about his regimen, how hard he works, the hours he puts in, and all of that, right? This ain't no, Dad talks about, it's just, God given and all of that, but there's a lot of God given people that don't work, basically are finished after high school because they don't put the work in. They don't do what they have to do. He puts in the work. I know it ain't all, you know, been smooth and all of that, but it'll work itself out on there. And so anyway, this is the reason why I have chosen to do this platform and to share these type of stories with the Halls. Now, speaking of that, I know I talked a lot, you know, in the beginning and at the end. So I'm gonna start with Mom. All right, Mom. So you go ahead and you know, you got a message for these parents listening in. You start first.
Okay, well, Dee, I want to, thank you for inviting us on your platform, because I just believe that our story is meant to help others. So, thank you, for allowing us to share that story, because I'm sure that we have been able to help somebody through this process. But one of the things is to, I would say, pay attention to what's going on in the process. Be involved. If you feel like you may need to reach out to other people, because you may not know it all. Like, one of the things, I wish I had this platform. This was available, when Hylan first started high school. This would have helped me so much. So, I'm a researcher by nature. So I had to I researched, and I found out things I know about. But in Hylan, he even calls me for information, But parents, yes, stay involved, research, make sure that you know every aspect of what's going on with your child, whether it's with their high school, whether it's with the travel ball organization. Reach out. If it's something that you don't know, reach out and ask. Don't be afraid. Or if you feel like something's not right or reach out to somebody and ask. Because if you have that gut feeling, something, as mothers, we have that gut feeling sometimes. Talk it over with somebody, because 9 times out of 10 that you're having that feeling for a reason. So again, thank you for this opportunity. And again, hopefully we bless someone with our story. It's not over yet. Maybe we can come back and
Draft time. We're gonna make it June. Let me turn it up in June, man.
But, yeah, Dee, thanks for this platform. Man, this is amazing. Parents, take advantage of this platform. Share this process, share this platform with other people. This is amazing. Like I said, my son is, further along in the process or whatever, but I'm still on. When I get a chance to catch it, I'm watching. He's like, hey, Myla, whatever, but I'm watching, because I wish I had it, when he first started high school. So again, thank you, Chris.
I talked enough as it is. I think what she said sums it up, D.
All right, listen, man. Nadine says thank you, man, and Russ says thank you both for sharing. Thank you for Salty, hey Myla, which is part of the reason why I created my page. Thank you for both for sharing. Thank you, D.
Nikki Jenkins, I'm a Jenkins.
All right. Well, Nikki, this is I think Nikki has the black boys play baseball, and definitely which is that's another great form and platform, and man, definitely this is something feeling like sometimes you're feeling like you're the only one going through it. All right.
Yes.
That's why exactly I wanted to bring these parents on, so you guys could know that you ain't alone out here. You know what I'm saying? But this has been definitely one of the great shows, and I appreciate you guys taking out the time, man. And of course, I wish all the best to you guys and to Hylan. And tomorrow we'll be on at 4 p.m. I'm gonna try to have another guest on here, try to rush, get down here and talk, and we go from there, man. Holler at me about the recruiting side of things, man. This is what it is about over here, man. I had a few people reach out to me yesterday. I got people calling me today. So this is why I do what I do, so I can help you guys with this, man. So, navigate this thing, man, and just, put people on like this and connecting the dots. That's all it is over here, man. So reach out to me. Let me help you, all right? Come to these showcases, all right? So I can put some eyes on you, because I can't vouch for you if you ain't got no, if I ain't got no eyes on you, man. So Patrick says, and I'll get you out of here, man. Hello, brothers and sisters. First time in here. Patrick, welcome. I hope you stay. And this is what we about over here, man. Bringing on guests, great guests. All right. And last one, thank you for sharing your knowledge, Luana. All right. Hall family, thank you, man. All right, long interview. Appreciate you guys, man. And you guys enjoy the rest of your day, man. Love you guys, man. Tell Hylan I said what's up. And I will definitely be on tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. We keep it, keeping this going, man. Keeping this knowledge rolling. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right.